Where are they?
You don't want to talk, make sure it's red, and if you're talking, make sure it's green and very close to your mouth.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will. All right.
This guy, but I see your BV is out there. The contract just didn't work. So I gotta raise my hearing aid. This is Jack.
Good, Will? Think we're ready? Okay.
I don't want to run out of battery in case somebody asks us about the charge of 78.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, as always, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So everybody please remove your hats and rise. And Councilwoman McDonough, would you lead us, please?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain stand for a moment of silence to remember all of the men and women who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending this evening's Town Board meeting, and thank you all at home for watching. Tonight's meeting is a Town Board special voting meeting. There's 3 items that we will be acting on tonight, and then the remainder of the meeting is a Town Board work session. So prior to coming out here for the public portion of tonight's meeting, we met in executive session with Police Chief Mike Kazari to discuss personnel budget items for fiscal year 2020. Greg Fulchetti, Town Legal Counsel, we met with him for attorney-client contractual discussions. And the third item was the interview of a prospective vendor for the Town of Carmel Master Plan and Code revisions, which it looks like we're going to be kicking that off. The board will be making its final selection on a vendor that we're going to be retaining their services of to assist us with the master plan and the code revisions. And I'm going to say that we're going to kick that off within the first quarter of 2020. So by February, March, end of March timeframe, we'll have a kickoff meeting with the public to participate and to go over what we will be doing with respect to the comprehensive plan and the codes revisions for next year. And they'll probably go into 2021 also. Master plan revisions and code revisions take a lot of time. It's not something that you can complete in 6 or 8 months. It's usually a year, year and a half. I've seen them go up as far as 2 years before the board actually adopts the plans. But we want to get it right. We want to do it right. And part of it is there's going to be a committee that's going to be assembled with community members in it. There's going to be a contractor component, the Chamber of Commerce. They're looking for feedback from the stakeholders as to what the community wants to see in our master plan for the future. So our current master plan is about 22 years old, so it's time for us to review the master plan and make revisions to the codes along the way. So it'll be dual tracked. Anytime you do a master plan, you look at your code as well, because the code has to conform to your new master plan. So they have to work together. So that's what we're going to be doing. And the 3 vendors we interviewed are all excellent, but one really stood out that we liked a lot, and we felt that firm would be a good fit for this community. So that's what we'll be taking action on that within the next week or 2. We'll be voting on awarding that to the particular vendor. So just want to bring you up to speed with that. Just so everyone knows, we have our 2 town board members elect with us here tonight, Councilman Frank Lombardi-elect and Councilman-elect Bob Schnall. They're joining us tonight. They don't take office officially until January 1st, but it's important that they attend the town board meetings going forward. And I've invited them to participate in executive session with us as well. So they need to, be brought up to speed on what's going on in the town. Any matters that we discuss in executive session, they need to know about that as well. So they're here with us tonight. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we really appreciate it. So tonight is a town board special voting meeting, as I stated. For the record, all town board members are present with us, as Ann Spofford, our town clerk, Greg Fulchetti, all the way down to my left. And we have our professionals with us tonight who are going to be giving an update on the Carmel Status of update of the Carmel Water District Number 2. As you know, there's quite a bit of work that's been proposed for Water 2 with respect to relining of water mains, water storage tank rehabilitation, not only in Water 2, but townwide. And also, we discussed a new water treatment plant. So these are expensive items, and I'm glad the public is here, and there's residents of the hamlet of Carmel that are here tonight to hear the update and the status report on that as well. So it's Rich Franzetti, our town engineer, is going to be presenting that. Rich is over here. Mary Ann Maxwell, our town comptroller, is going to be talking about the debt service and what the costs will be. And John won't be able to make it tonight, no. And we have Tom Brand with us here from Infomark. They're the operators of Carmel Water District Number 2. If you have any particular questions or specific questions for the operator, he's here to answer them. But I think Rich Franzetti's presentation is going to cover a lot of that as well. So we're going to be using the smart TV up here to assist us and to assist you as he presents the information to the public. All right, so the first item on the agenda tonight is this is the voting portion of the meeting. First item is a resolution making an appointment to the Town of Carmel Ethics Board. Councilman Schneider, would you read Resolution 1, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby appoints Lisa Perry to the Town of Carmel Ethics Board, commencing immediately. I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, it's seconded by Councilwoman McDonough and Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes, with pleasure.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes, with pleasure.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Welcome, Lisa Perry, to the Town of Carmel Ethics Board. Okay, next resolution, number 2, is a resolution authorizing payment for repairs. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read Resolution 2, please?
Sure. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the various water and sewer districts of the Town of Carmel, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, hereby authorizes the following payments for repairs performed within the reference districts. So there's 3 columns. The first is I'm going to read the vendor name, the services rendered, and then the authorized amount. Cook Excavating, Inc., Carmel, New York, Carmel Water District Number 2, emergency line repair, invoice dated September 9th, 2019, at an amount of $7,296.12. Cook Excavating, Inc., Carmel, New York, Carmel Water District Number 2, emergency line repair, invoice dated September 9th, 2019, in the amount of $6,302.28. B&J Plumbing, Mahopac, New York, Carmel Water District Number 4, well pump replacement, invoice dated August 13th through 2019, at a cost of $8,425.04. B&J Plumbing, Mahopac, New York, Carmel Water District Number 7, well pump replacement, invoice dated October 4th, 2019, at a cost of $11,819.54. And New York Leak Detection, Inc., Jamestown, New York, Carmel Water District Number 4, leak detection services, invoice dated October 10th, 2019, an amount of $6,400. Be further resolved, the Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget revisions to effect payment for the aforesaid repair authorizations. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, the third resolution this evening is a resolution authorizing outside counsel to defend in Article 78. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 3, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorize Cozen O'Connor to represent them in the matter of Michael A. Borelli and Tommy A. Boniello against Putnam County Department of Health, Town of Carmel, and New York City Department of Environmental Protection pursuant to CPLR Article 78 and related proceedings. I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Second for discussion. Okay, what I'd like to bring up and discuss a little bit about before it's voted on this particular resolution is Putnam County Department of Health was named in this Article 78, and the New York City Department of Environmental Protection is also named in the Article 78, as well as the Town of Carmel. Is the Town of Carmel paying for the cost to defend this Article 78. Is that being distributed, or is there any discussions with Putnam County and the New York City DP with respect to who's going to be defending the Article 78 on their end, or are we defending all three agencies with our law firm?
We are defending the town of Carmel with the law firm Cozen O'Connor.
So Cozen O'Connor is being retained just to represent the town of Carmel?
Correct.
So the other agencies would be responsible for retaining legal counsel to defend
Whatever they,
whatever they,
well,
okay. Is it specific, is it the proposal specific just to the town of Carmel? Do you know?
yeah, the town of Carmel will be paying them to represent the town of Carmel.
Okay.
The resolution says Town Board of Town of Carmel authorizes Cozen O'Connor to represent them being Town Board, Town of Carmel.
Right.
Well, it doesn't say them.
The way I read it.
It doesn't, it does say them, but them is also the New York, Putnam County
No.
Department of Health and the City of New York.
No,
In the
that's the
in the matter-
78.
In the matter
In
of
the matter of.
these two residents against.
In the matter
those two.
of
I
is,
see what you're saying, but the way
Yeah.
I read them is Carmel, because then it's
All right.
saying in the matter against,
All right.
against the three names that
when you
you're-
see here, matter of Michael, that came right from the Article 78.
Okay, all right. And the second question I have is, did we get a proposal from Cozen and O'Connor specific to the Article 78 with respect to costs? Like, they gave us a proposal for the investigation or inquiry that they're undertaking with respect to the Blue Restaurant or 825 Route 6N, but this is in addition to what that investigation is about. This is separate from that. Did they give us a separate proposal for their cost for this, for the article, to defend the Article 78? Do we know about that, if we got a proposal?
Yes, and I am looking for it now. Yeah, and I spoke to you early about that, Kenny. Yes, it depends, the cost. They cannot give a one-price cost because it depends upon if it's going to be actually moving forward or if it's going to be going to court. It could
Or
range,
yield.
Okay.
that's up to
All right.
what happens, yeah.
All right, my third question, I guess it is, to the board is, and I know we talked about this in executive session, but I think it's important that the public knows. All right, do we really need to give this work to a Manhattan law firm, Cozen and O'Connor, when it could be given to or retain the services of another law firm that would be less costly to the town, to the taxpayers? Because we know what the costs are for Cozen and O'Connor. Are there law firms that could have done this for less money?
There,
And-
I mean,
and-
I'll just speak to that. There probably are, but as we spoke earlier, when we spoke about who we were going to hire, we all agreed that if you hire somebody else, let's just say they're at $300 an hour or whatever, they have to get up to speed from everything that has happened from day one through now. And with that, we wouldn't know, it may equal the same amount of what Cozen O'Connor is going to do. It may come in less, it may come in more, but you have to hire, my thing is, and I spoke with you about this, you know, you weigh both of them. You hire a firm that doesn't know what's going on, so they have to find out what's going on, and they also may contact Cozen O'Connor, and Cozen O'Connor then is going to charge them anyway, you know,
They'll
to
charge
speak
us.
to them. So, you know, to me, it was cleaner, it was hopefully less time-consuming, because I would love this entire thing to be resolved, so we can move on, and I just don't want it to be prolonged. I mean, that's just my thought, anybody else can weigh in on it, but...
Thank you, Susie, and I understand where you're coming from, I appreciate that. But the services that we agreed to with Cozen O'Connor, proposal of the services, was very specific in nature. The scope of it was very specific, what they were doing, what their inquiry was going to be. This is something totally different, all right? This is an Article 78 So it's changing the scope of services to the town of Carmel that's being provided by the Cozen O'Connor Law Firm. I would have preferred to see a proposal from them in writing identifying what the cost would be, because right now, it's kind of, you're just giving them the work, and we don't know what it's going to cost. I
Right,
think they gave you...
again, we discussed this last week, nobody asked for a proposal,
Oh.
because we've never, no,
I
because
did.
not last week.
I did.
Because we've
I
never,
certainly did.
because we've never asked for an Article 78, we've never gotten a proposal from Greg or Joe Charbonneau or anybody. As soon as we asked for it, I went and got it, I'm trying to find it right now, but
No,
that's
I-
not gonna help because you don't have it.
Just let me remind my colleagues on the board, in executive session, I stated that we should be getting proposals for this. And I specifically said from other firms. Get a proposal from Cozen if you'd like to consider retaining Cozen for this particular Article 78. But we should get proposals from other firms.
You said that in the beginning, and then you were fine by giving it to Cozen. That's how we concluded that conversation, and we also said that we've never done it in the past.
But, John,
before.
listen, I wasn't happy with it, okay?
No, you weren't happy, but you-
clearly
I don't think
wasn't
any
happy
of
with
us
it.
is happy with
No,
it.
no, I wasn't happy
You
with
know,
the fact
I know
that-
you weren't more, you were,
I-
yeah.
I was very adamant that
Yeah.
we should get a proposal, just giving somebody work, just saying, here, you guys take this, you're
So
ready.
did you get a proposal from someone that's cheaper than
I
Cozen?
did not. I did not. I don't, listen, I don't have a law firm, a particular law firm that I like to give any work to. You guys did have a particular law firm that you wanted to give work to, and that was Cozen and O'Connor. I disagreed with you, and I abstained from the vote because of that, because we didn't,
The going rate for Article 78, Putnam County attorneys is between $2,500 and $7,500.
right.
Very easily, make a phone call, ask a dozen people. That's all I have to say.
So I'm just against
I'm sure it
giving.
would be less.
I personally, all right, and I think there's 3 votes to retain Cozen for this. I personally am against it because it's going to cost a ton more money, a boatload more money to defend this Article 78, money that we could be spending elsewhere. I just think
I
it's
agree.
foolish that we're going to Manhattan, a Manhattan law firm. The Cozen Law Firm is handling the very specific, and I'm sorry, I don't want to repeat myself, specific scope of what they were charged with looking into. This is something completely different, and it does not have to be awarded to that law firm. Can we get proposals from other law firms to do this work, to handle this? Does this have to be voted on tonight, or could we table this?
I believe it has to be voted on because there's a specific time which it
I
has to
asked you
be
that last
answered.
week, and you said the whole reason for this Article
John,
78
John,
is
John,
time
it doesn't matter what I said last week.
Yes, oh, come on.
It doesn't
Kenny,
matter what
yes,
I
it
said
does.
last
You
week.
don't like me bringing that up because you're contradicting yourself right
No,
now.
you just love bringing it up because you like to make other people look bad.
No,
All right,
no,
I
you-
changed
hold
my
on.
mind.
Oh,
I
okay,
changed my
thank you. There you
mind.
go. Perfect, because you changed your mind.
So-
'Cause now you're trying to make us look bad.
I'm not trying to
because
make you look
You
bad.
agreed
I'm
last
try-
week in executive session, now you're not, so you're making us 3 look bad.
I'm
So
not-
if, when I point that
No.
out, you're saying I'm making you
I'm
look
not
bad.
trying to make you
So-
look bad.
so-
You look bad doing this.
So do you, Kenny.
You look bad.
We all look bad.
You look
We
bad.
all look bad.
This
We all
is
look bad.
wrong. This
We all
is
look
wrong.
bad. We all look bad.
That you're giving this work
We all look
to
bad.
Cozen O'Connor.
It's
It is
wrong,
wrong.
but we have to give this work in the
But-
first
so
place.
do it the right way then. RFP it, get proposals.
Kenny,
Why
you're
is
the,
it
day,
time
you're the
sensitive?
day-to-day manager, and you just said to everyone you didn't even go out and
Then
get
treat
another
me like the
proposal.
day-to-day manager.
I'm
Treat
asking
me like
you.
that. No, treat me like that.
You don't get any special treatment.
I know I don't. I know I don't. And you don't allow me to do my job either.
You're right. While I'm at work in Richfield, I sabotage everything you do.
You
You're
are
so right.
micromanaging all the time,
You-
John.
oh,
all right?
yes, you are so right.
Anything
Well,
I
in
try to do.
in 6 weeks,
Excuse
you're gonna
me,
get better.
Anything I try to do, you question the heck out of it, all right? And that pisses you off.
No,
And I don't
because
want
I'd
to
like
piss
to
you off.
understand it. Because I'm one of 5, and I'd like to have an understanding. Because
Yeah,
if I'm not in your
I know.
office at a certain time, I
I
don't
know,
get
I know.
the full story.
But, okay. All right, listen. All I'm saying is, board, all right, you have time to RFP this. You do not have to just rubber stamp. Susie, don't
I
shake your
don't,
head.
I'm saying.
Who told you you
Greg,
don't have time?
Greg, isn't there a specific time frame to respond to an Article 78 in general? Because I know you cannot talk about this.
Generally, petitions and Article 78 proceedings are returnable, meaning there's an answer required within 30 days.
Thank
That
you.
can be extended on consent of the parties. But
Okay.
That's the general I haven't seen this one, so I don't
Yeah,
know
I
what
know,
the
you
return
haven't,
date
and
is.
that's why I don't, that's
Okay.
why I'm trying not to ask you.
Yeah, I don't think consent of the parties would be a problem to save the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, this is what I'm gonna say. I can give you guys the rundown of why the Article 78 came about.
All right, Susie, and also tell the public how much Cozen's price is gonna be. Tell them the range.
I don't know, I just finished telling you and everybody else that we're not sure, because it depends
Didn't he tell you-
upon.
didn't he tell you that?
It depends upon if it's going to go to court or not. If it goes to court, it can go over $100,000, okay?
Do you know if the hourly rate is the same as what we had previously?
Yes, yeah.
Hourly
I-
rate remains the same?
Yep,
The variable hourly.
the
Right,
variable,
Of course.
on the thing.
Based on what personnel is using
Based upon what percentage, yeah. If you'd like, let me, this may help you guys decide, okay? And I'm sorry, because I'm reading from my phone, so it's a little bit, thing, okay. How we got to the Article 78, okay, is that you all know, I don't need to say that, okay. In the Article 78 papers, I believe that Mr. Borelli admitted that he did not have approval to hook up. In fact, that he claimed he is suing so, this is relating to the Article 78, okay? That he claims he is suing so that he can get approval, which Rich, and when I say Rich, I mean our Franzetti, was trying to help him with before he got sued. Rich issued a notice of violation which required Mr. Borelli to follow up on an application or disconnect, and to keep us posted on a regular basis. On October 24th of this year, Rich sent a letter to the DEP with a copy to Mr. Borelli and Mr. Boniello and other agencies, requesting that New York
Susie,
City DEP.
I'm sorry, why are you reading all this?
So you guys may be,
No, you
so
don't-
they
you
can
don't-
Because
understand,
now I have to say something.
Now.
so
right.
they can
Now I have to say
understand what's
something.
go,
Yeah, no, Susie, you don't have to read.
Because I have to say
That's not a
something,
pro-
and
that's
I
not
would
a
like to
proposal.
probably show you something. So you can
It-
save all your reading.
Okay, so I can save it, so what I'm gonna say, the Article 78 is to defend the town of Carmel, because right now, the town of Carmel is in violation, okay? Is that correct?
No.
Is that 100, we're
No.
not in violation?
No, absolutely, not even close to correct.
Oh, we don't have a
The Article
violation against
78 was
us?
filed.
No.
The Article
Mike, if
78
you're
was
gonna,
filed.
I can finish reading.
It's my turn?
No, it's not your turn,
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
a whole
yeah,
thing to
yeah.
say.
Sorry. Mike, you have to pull your mic a little closer to you. Mike.
I'm, don't want to interrupt.
Listen, I do not want to get into debate, okay? There
Either did
is-
I, wasn't saying a word. But
There-
since you falsely said that, I'm going to correct you.
Okay, then I will continue, then you can correct everything I'm going to say.
Okay.
Okay? Move forward with their review. DEP then sent their form of application and told Cozen that it would not consider the application until it received all technical attachments. Mr. Franzetti provided a copy of the DEC application to Mr. Borelli in the thing. On October 28th, Mr. Borelli submitted an application, but without the attachment. Rich was notified, he notified them that DEP may reject it without the required attachments. Mr. Borelli filed the lawsuit, which is the Article 78, the following day. The relief sought against the town is that we be compelled, meaning the town, to review and decide petitioner's out-of-district sewer connection to sewer district number 1, to take all necessary and appropriate actions formally to discharge their non-discretionary administrative duties, which we were already doing. There is nothing more for the town to do with Mr. Borelli's application. Our lawyers can move to dismiss the case, but he should really just drop it, because having to defend against such a suit where there's nothing else that the town can do to satisfy Mr. Borelli's request relief is a waste of taxpayers' resources. In any event, on Friday, November 1st, 2019, Mr. Borelli submitted to DEP and the town engineer additional documentation, and it is now up to the DEP. I can keep on going on, but I'm not going to, but that's the gist of the Article 78, that right now and before, the town could do nothing. It's in Mr. Borelli's hands. So what we're hoping is that the Article 78 will be dropped, okay? But that's up to the lawyers and to Mr. Borelli. And I
And
don't want to
Mr.
keep on
Boniello.
going on, and Mr. Boniello, yes. And I don't want to keep on going on, but, you know, I do have something if anybody wants, and
But that,
wants it, but that's,
all I wanted was a proposal.
That's it. Kenny, I really, really need to respond to that.
That's
Go
not,
ahead. No,
that's
I
not a
think, Mike,
proposal.
Mike, you can respond, because I think you should have an opportunity.
Okay, I need to respond to that. In May, an application was put to the town of Carmel. The Article 78 was filed by my partner and myself because a letter was sent to the DEP from the town of Carmel asking them to stop their review, which will come out in the courtroom whether that's legal or not, okay? The Article 78 basically said to the Board of Health, the DEP, and the town of Carmel, and I'll use it in layman's language, quit playing games with us and tell us what's going on. That's it. Very simple. It's not a crazy lawsuit. Go in front of a judge, you three people tell me why my partner and myself are going around in a circle like this. That's it. And I paid a couple of $1,000s for it. And the going rate in Putnam County, 2 to 10 grand. Everybody else judge whatever they want to judge. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Is the board willing to table this in an effort to get proposals from other law firms that can handle this and not us, you know, have to use the same Coase and O'Connor law firm that's going to charge us thousands of dollars to defend this? Are we willing to do that? If we're not, if the board's not going to agree to table it, then fine, just vote on it and we'll move forward from there. We have a lot to do tonight.
A lot of people
These
here
folks
waiting.
are here.
Yes.
These folks are here from Water District 2. They really want to hear an update, a status report on the
And
water.
I agree.
So why don't we just take the vote then? Go
Yep.
ahead. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes. Oh, wait.
No,
What are we
no,
talk- what
no.
are we-
No,
No.
You have to abstain.
no, you
have
I
you
abstain.
abstain, no,
I abstain on that one.
no. Don't put yes.
Until we're back to the water.
Yeah, no, that was definitely not supposed to.
No, that's,
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDowell?
yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
No, for the reasons I stated.
That was funny.
You guys are making a big mistake. I don't want to keep repeating it, but it's going to cost between
But
50.
you are.
It's going to cost, thank you, John, thank you for reminding me of that. It's going to cost the tax, it's going to cost you. It's gonna- Can I finish? Can I
You
finish?
just said that I make you look
Oh,
bad,
you
but
guys
then
went.
you gotta say it one more
Listen,
time.
December 31st can't come
soon
fast enough.
That we agree on.
My God.
Let's move, let's
All
move
right,
ahead.
and I'll give you a plaque. You and
Kenny,
Jonathan are
I
getting
don't want a
plaques.
plaque.
You're
Ken,
getting a
let's move
plaque.
ahead. Let's-
I want freedom.
Let's
All
move
right.
along, but there's one thing I do want
Okay.
to tell, I forgot to tell the taxpayers before. Once the Article 78 was filed, all of a sudden, all the agencies started working together.
They're all working together.
They're all working together, it's remarkable.
I don't know how that happened.
Well, if we want to continue this, which
We
I'm
have-
not
we have
going
everything we
to.
need except one
No,
thing.
no,
Go
no,
ahead,
you're
go
not
ahead.
going to say something and then do it.
Susie, you said enough.
No,
You
no,
said enough.
Kenny.
A
you
lot
know
of
what?
that you didn't
do-
have to read.
Do you know what? You're right. It will all come out.
wasn't
It
part
will
of it.
all come out in the lawsuit. You are 100% right. I
His
agree.
lawsuit.
Let's move on. And it will all come out. That is agreed.
After you've spent
It will-
$100,000,
It
it'll all come
will
out.
all come out.
To do what?
It will all come out.
What are you accomplishing?
You are right.
All right, forget it. Let's move on. All right, so that concludes the voting meeting for this evening's. I need a motion to close the voting meeting.
You gotta pay on both sides.
Comments? Yeah, okay, we'll do
Yes.
comments, sure. All right, I'm sorry. Comments. Is there any public comment on the agenda items we just covered? If there is, come on up to the podium, state your name, and make your comment.
My name is Peter Gebhardt. I think everybody knows me. I got to commend Supervisor Schmidt for standing tall here tonight against a push from other town board members to funnel work to associates that are not competitively bidding. And I thank you very much for that. I'm sorry you stood alone, but I stand behind you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Gephardt. Appreciate it. Thank you. I think a lot of other folks feel the same way you do, but there's not a lot I could do about it.
Hi, John Butler from the Hamlet of Carmel. I want to comment on the same agenda item. I got to be honest with you. I've been around the block a few thousand times. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not even close, but just the very fact that this law firm is engaged by the town in a separate investigation of what I think is the same matter automatically should bifurcate the issue from one law firm to another on its own without anything else. The second thing I've been wondering for a long time is where and how and who is the genesis of the love affair with Cozen and O'Connor? Because I know Cozen and O'Connor from the insurance business for decades, and how a white shoe law firm is here and being hired is a real mystery to me. And I think it warrants an explanation, not here, not now, but by all the advocates of this law firm. Where did it come from and why? And I think the entire town deserves that explanation. And a question. How much have we spent so far on the investigation? How much have we paid, or how much do we owe Cozen and O'Connor? Councilwoman McDonough, because you're in charge of
Right,
oversight.
we will all be getting a report with all of their findings and the cost,
When?
as soon as I get it.
When is
I
that?
don't have that answer.
That's
for
not
you.
an answer.
No, it
It
is an
could be
answer, John. John, it's an answer that
2043.
you don't like, but it's an answer.
That's not an answer. You
By
can go
the
to
middle
your,
of December, okay, before the middle of December, by the middle of December, this entire thing, we're hoping will be completely closed.
so
okay?
hold on a second.
We should be
When
getting,
you have
we're
a
going to be
vendor
getting, John,
including-
you asked me a question, okay? You asked me a question, I'm trying to answer it,
Please.
okay? We will be getting 2 reports. I've asked them for 2 reports. I've asked them for an interim report, which they are working on presently. I'm hoping to have that by the end of this week, okay? I can share with them whatever they allow me to share, whatever is not privileged, okay? Then again, in the middle of December, they will be giving us, hopefully, their final report on the investigation part of it. The Article 78 is something different. We have to see how that plays out.
That's not the question.
Okay.
So how are they billing us? On what basis? Monthly, quarterly, daily? How are they billing us?
They are billing us when they do their work.
Well, hold on, that's not the
We have
question.
not received a bill from them yet.
Well, when are you going to receive?
I will be
Lawyers
getting
tend
I
to
will
bill
be-
on a monthly basis on ongoing cases. So when are we going to receive their first bill of work in progress time spent?
At the end of November of 2019.
Okay, so that's like 2 weeks from now.
Correct.
3 weeks. Perfect.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's the answer.
You're welcome.
John, I was always wondering too, where we got the O'Connor Law Firm, because that was the law firm that this board wanted to hire to lobby for your water district also. It was always this particular name, there was never any other choices. But I'm curious where they came from too.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Frank Lombardi, Councilman-elect, former Deputy Supervisor and Councilman of the town, and a 23-year attorney. When I left the board 2 years ago, there were some pressing issues, but at that time, as a courtesy to the incoming elected councilman, I suggested that we push some things into the new term so he had an opportunity to review it. My suggestion is anything that comes up legal, there's nothing I could have done about tonight's vote, but I would have liked the opportunity to review it. I've read many Article 78s. I litigate on a daily basis. That's what I do. In the future, if there's anything that's not so pressing, I would hope that you push it over, adjourn it to January, so Councilman-elect Shannell and myself will have an opportunity to look at it. Me as an attorney, obviously, I'd love to have looked at it beforehand. I know that many matters of litigation, if the parties agree to adjourn things, that could be adjourned. This could have been adjourned into January. And again, I'd just like that opportunity to have reviewed things. If it's not pressing, move it into January. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thanks, Frank. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak on the agenda items we covered this evening? Okay. There being none, now...
Can I ask one question, though, in all fairness to Frank and Bob? Because they're councilman-elect, we can, I mean, if Frank wants to read it, I know we already voted on, but if Frank wants to read the Article 78, we could do that. That's actually public knowledge,
You
right?
can go on e-courts and
E-courts, yeah.
pull
so-
it down as well. It's the filings
No, I was going to
themselves
say, because I'd be more than
are all
happy to share it
public.
with them, and we should push the information to them,
In
so
any-
they're up to speed.
Any
Okay.
matter that's not a matrimonial or some other sealed matter, they're all public.
Okay. I just want to make sure, so we should push the information
Well,
to
it's
them.
too late on this one.
No, agreed, I
So-
just said that, but
Yeah,
agreed.
I wish we could have tabled it tonight, and then maybe we could have pushed that to them, and they could have looked at it and then waited on it, but, so. All right, I need a motion to open the work session. Okay. Vote, okay, motion to close the voting meeting?
So moved.
So moved. I need a second.
Second?
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to open the work session.
So moved.
So moved. I need a second.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the first item on the town board work session this evening, Rich Franzetti, P.E., town engineer. John Folchetti, P.E., couldn't be with us tonight. He had a family obligation. And Mary Ann Maxwell, town controller, is here with us. This is to provide a status update on Carmel Water 2 issues that they've been having up in Carmel Water 2 with respect to the water mains, the water storage tanks, and the water filter plant. So, Rich, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you want a copy of what Rich is presenting, there's more copies over here on the table on the side.
And there's copies of the
And there's copies of the
Debt
debt
schedules over here,
debt
if you'd like a
schedule as
copy.
well. So if you didn't get that, if you want to pick that up now, go ahead and get that. But you could follow it also to Rich and up on the TV as well.
So as requested by the board, the following provides a status update of the various Carmel Water District 2 projects. Request for proposal 2018-001, Carmel Water 2 Water Treatment Plant Facility Plan. The request for proposals was circulated in April of 2018 and received in May of 18. Town Board approved Hazen and Sawyer. They performed a water demand assessment, and the water demand projections for the next 30 years were developed as summarized. Current year, 0.8 is an average daily demand, maximum of 1.5, maximum day demand, and all the way up to 2050, 0.82 to 1.34, maximum day demand 1.31 to 2.15. That's it, I got it. Analysis assumes the district geographic boundaries does not change, nor are outside users served, except for the proposed developments south of Putnam County Hospital Center and the approved developments. They also performed a Lake Lenida safe yield analysis. The analysis suggests that the yield from Lake Lenida is about 0.6 to 1 million gallons per day. Analysis incorporates likely groundwater flux to the extent possible without undertaking a detailed groundwater flow monitoring program. Lake Lenida alone may not be sufficient to meet the projected water demand in Carmel Water 2 in the future, or may be insufficient. Water from the West Branch Reservoir is an option selected for supplemental lake to supplement Lake Lenida. West Branch Reservoir is also owned by New York City, and a new agreement for water withdrawal will be required, and the town will continue to be required to pay New York City for water. The option will provide water from 2 different water bodies and will provide supply redundancy. The water treatment facility plan is expected to be completed by the end of this year, design services to commence in 2020, and the intended schedule has the bid let out by the end of 2020, with work to commence in 2021. For proposal R219-006, multi-district storage tank rehabilitation, the request for proposals for the development of bid documents were distributed in August of 19 and received in September of 19. The town board approved Weston and Sampson, W&S. The estimated project schedule, award and execute design agreement. Okay. Contract plans and specifications, plus or minus 7 months. Bid assistance, plus or minus a month. Estimated construction start in month 9, plus or minus, so 9 months from now, or 9 months after we get the executed design agreement. Schedule may vary based on completion of the prior tasks, so those plus or minuses are there for that reason. Request for proposal 2019-007, Carmel Water District 2 distribution system improvements, which is the lining, the new mains, and the valves. The request for proposal for design services were circulated in October of 19 and received in 2019, November. The proposal is under review, and results will be presented to the town board once completed. The estimated project schedule is award and execute design agreement, contract plans and specifications, and bid assistance, plus or minus 9 months. Estimated construction start in month plus or minus 10 from when that is agreed upon. I'll hand this over to Mary Ann for her bonding discussion.
Just move it to the debt schedule, if you could, on the screen. Okay. The Carmel Water District Number 2 existing debt, currently the debt that's existing matures in 2033, which is the first line on this screen, on this spreadsheet. Carmel Water District Number 2, 2018, the water line replacement has outstanding debt of $2 million, and that will be sold to the bond market in October of 2020, and that will be a 20-year bond through 2040. The Carmel Water District Number 2 bans that are outstanding, which is the water meter project, that has outstanding debt of $1.3 million in Water District Number 2. That also will be sold to the bond market in October of 2020, and that will be a 5-year ban. So that will be paid off in 5 years in 2024. The 2019 distribution system, which Rich talked about earlier, a little bit ago, which is the distribution system improvements, the lining, new mains and valves, which is the $13.3 million project, correct? That estimated ban for design was issued in October of 2019. The ban that was issued was $500,000. Additional bans will be issued in 2020 to 2023 until the project is complete. Then the final bond will be sold in October of 2024. The 2019 multi-district storage tank rehabilitation, that an estimated ban for the design was issued also in October of 2019 for $200,000. Additional bans issued 2020 to 2021 or until the project is complete, and then the final bond will be sold in October of 2022. And then the 2020 Water District 2 treatment plant, estimated ban for design will be issued in October of 2020. Approximate amount of that would be $2 million. Additional bans issued 2021 to 2025 until the project is complete. So the final bond for that estimated will be sold in October of 2026. So if you look at this spreadsheet, in 2024, the water meter project should be paid off. And then the 2019 distribution system, that's about when the bond will be sold for that project. So things will be paid off, but then, new debt will be coming on. So if you look at the bottom row of the spreadsheet, actually, towards the bottom, also the Carmel Sewer District Number 2 existing debt will be paid off in 2020, so that's good news. So the bottom line, Carmel Water District Number 2 debt will start increasing, say in 2000, and this is based on an average assessed value of $407,000. Your average debt would increase to about $468 in 2023, $545 in 2024, $678 in 2025, $720 in 2026, and up to $982 in 2027. 2027 is when the bond will be sold. That's when all the projects will be, sold out to the bond market. So this is just an estimate, obviously. Interest rates could change. We could pay down some of this debt sooner, which would lower the cost of what we need to bond. As I can, this is, again, it's an estimate, so, it's hard to plan 10 years down the line, with exact numbers, so.
So then, grant funding, as discussed in the April meeting, there are no CFA grant applications that involve potable water works. In May of 2019, JRFA submitted a short-form application for the Carmel Water District 2 distribution system improvements to the New York State DOH, New York State EFC for funding under Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. Documentation was approved by those respective agencies, and the project is placed on the Drinking Water Intended Use Plan, the IUP. This process is the first step, as well as a requirement for eligibility to apply for grant funding under the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, WIIA. Both the WIIA grant and the DWSRF, which is the drinking water, where is it? Forget it, I don't have it, but were submitted by to the New York State DOH and the DEC in September of 19. Funds of $13.66 million were requested in order to support the project. Funding could come in the form of grant or a subsidized loan or a combination of both. And that's the reason that was submitted to the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act and the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. So that is, in summary, the status of what's going on in Carmel Water District 2.
Okay. All right, Rich, thank you. Mary Ann, thank you. So what I'll do now is I'm going to open up the floor to any questions that the public may have for Rich and Mary Ann with respect to funding and debt service for this project. Technical questions, please address them to Rich Franzetti, the engineer. Financial funding questions to Mary Ann Maxwell. So if there's anybody that would like to come up at this time, come on up. Just make a comment, ask a question. Peter, come on up.
Thank you very much. I have, just to let you folks know, I've been very involved in Water District Number 2 for many years as a volunteer, and this is for sure something that's been long overdue. I have a report here that the Fulchetti Associates did in 2014 to address the problems, and here we are 5 years down the road, and we're no further along than we were then. But I just have a couple quick questions, particularly about the water meter project. I would like to find out if that project is a zero-sum project. In other words, are we going to get the revenue from accurate billing to cover the cost of that project?
I don't have that answer yet, but that is the intent of it, yes.
Thank you. And then I want to talk about the storage tank rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is something that is definitely needed in some of those tanks. However, as pointed out in the Fulchetti report and also in Mr. Franzetti's notes here, that it's not just rehabilitation that's needed, we need excess capacity. Right now, the storage tanks have a 1.1 million gallon capacity, and that capacity exhausts, according to Mr. Franzetti's notes and Mr. Fulchetti's book here, his report in 2014, that exhausts in about 5 years. So therefore, I want to find out if the rehabilitation storage tank project also includes the construction of a new storage tank to add additional capacity that we're going to need going out to the design study of 2024.
It does not.
It does not. So
Rehabilitation of the existing tanks throughout all the water districts within the town, not just Water District 2. But yes, it's just a rehab of the tanks.
So therefore, we will not after the rehabilitation, we will still be limited to 1.1 million gallons of storage. Is that correct?
In Carmel Water District 2, yes.
Right, and Mr. Folchetti said that we're going to need about 1.25 million gallons by 2024, which is only 5 years away now, and which was, when he wrote the report, that would have been 10 years ago. So here we are now, 5 years later, and we don't have any capacity, and we only have 5 years to go. So what are we going to do now in this period of time when we're going to not have enough water to serve Water District Number 2, because Mr. Folchetti said in 2014 that we're going to need $1.25 million gallons of storage, and we only have, after rehabilitation, only 1.1 million gallons. That's a question. And then...
And I'll have to get back to you with an answer on that one,
Okay.
but it
And then my
apparently
own-
it has,
right.
the system has been working fine, and we will continue to work fine, and we will have to just give you a better answer on that.
It's not working fine. Absolutely not working fine. I don't see how you can say it's working fine when we paid for a very detailed, comprehensive engineering report in 2014 that stated emphatically that we're going to run out of storage capacity by 2024. And we're not planning for it today in 2019. So I don't know how everything's going to run along fine. Our committee has been telling the town board as water commissioners for years that things are not running fine. It's only now that this has come to a head. And we're on record for that. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is in Mr. Folchetti's proposal of 2014 is for the supply of water for Water District Number 2. There were several alternatives that he considered. One was alternative one, which would be to build a new filtration plant to replace the old DE plant in the existing facility and do some piping and such over 25 years, and it would cost $113 million. Alternative number two would be a groundwater source, which he found would not be, we do not have the capacity in the groundwater systems to provide the wells to service the number of gallons per minute that we need, but that would have been an $18 million proposal, so significantly less than alternative number one. But I want to say about alternative number one, what he did include there was because his proposal was also not just talking about how we're going to get the water, but how much we're paying for the water for New York City. So that $113 million included what we're going to be paying New York City for that water over that period of time, the design period to 2024, in addition to the cost of the filtration plant. The third proposal, which seemed fairly realistic, was a $33.5 million proposal, which include pipe and a plant served from Mayapack. So that is a proposal that I believe worth considering. I know that Mayapack has a huge amount of water. We wouldn't have to pay New York City for the water, and that's about 1/4 of the cost of alternative number one. So I just want to review those with you folks so that you know that our committee is thinking about being involved in this and making sure that we spend our money wisely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich, can you give us an update? Because I know that that was all discussed in 2015, and I believe since we got our safe yield analysis on Glenida, we also requested a safe yield analysis on Mayapack because we had seen the 30-year projection for Glenida. Did we get a result on that? I feel like we did, and I feel like I already know what the answer is, but I want you to say it.
We've discussed this with the board, and we talked about the various alternatives with the board. So using Glenida is not going to be sustainable. That's what came out of Hazen and Sawyer's report. We looked at Mayapack, and if we were to use it as a supplemental source of water for Glenida, it would draw down Lake Mahopac by 5 feet on drought conditions and 2 foot on average. And we decided at that time that that was not feasible. And it also had a, if I remember correctly, the safe yield for that was about 1 million or 1.1 million gallons, but it also still has to service the residents that get water or receive water from Lake Mahopac right now. So there was that balance there. So when we talked about the various options, and we thought that due to this proximity to West Branch, it would be feasible to have that as the alternative water supply. Of course, that keeps us on New York City's dime, unfortunately.
Other alternatives would be multiple wells to be drilled and start our own fields.
Right, but there,
But again-
in the 2014 report, I think that was not, it was considered, but there were no viable
Not a feasible,
sources.
viable source, right.
I think
So, yeah,
that's what I
just in
summarized
regards to
before.
that question about that 2014 plan, because this is, unfortunately, government moves slow. So while you think nothing's been done since 2014, yeah, we did safe yield analysis on Glenida. We had Glenida start to get implemented. We're still looking 2 years out, and we've already done our engineering reports and our findings, and we're still looking 2 years out on that. But we, in the meantime, did say, we know that Glenida is not going to be viable, so we did look at Mayapack to follow that solution, because we want to make sure that we exhaust every option that's going to be the most cost-effective for whoever it is that we're representing in the decision, in this case, Water District 2. But when that, I thought I remembered that safe yield analysis coming back, and I actually thought that there would be one particular family, once they heard it, that would be up in arms about it, who's sitting right here in the second row. If the lake dropped 5 feet, would you guys possibly be totally dead in the water? No pun intended, but.
Your town water system would freeze up. That would be dangerous.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it seems like while we want to get off New York City, we really have a very difficult predicament that Water District 2 in particular is in, because the two most viable alternative sources are West Branch Reservoir, still on the city, and then going with an auxiliary, which would be all the way out on the other end by Croton Falls, right? To be a second, still New York City.
I'm surprised you said that.
I just want to clarify, that 5-foot drop would be if it was the sole source to
Sole
Glenida,
source.
not using Glenida and Mahopac, because we would be completely off New York City's dime on that
But we'd be
one.
figuring a 2-foot drop as well, and if I could recall, 2 foot's pretty significant as well, just talking with the two marinas that operate out of there, and I know we already experienced some decrease this year just from the weather conditions alone, never mind any excessive use, so it's difficult. I mean, we take a look nationwide, water's gonna be a huge issue, so it's something that, as elected officials, the future's gonna have to continue to think about, and as you see here, we're talking about big numbers. We know we have $15 million between pipes and tanks. And we think we have $18 million in a plant, which isn't even going to start for probably 7 years. So it's difficult, and it's something that has to be continuously watched, and I think it's going to take volunteers who are on the inside of the water district, as well as representation up here through elected officials, just to make sure that these things keep going through. And it's going to be a slow, steady process, but it's going to be costly, unfortunately. But it's the price that we pay for living in a civilized society with clean water and waste treatment.
Well, and also living in a watershed.
Yes. Or, you know what, even we're living on wells. I got 3 neighbors right now that are digging wells too. So unfortunately, it's part of wanting clean water. We have to pay for it. Well, it should be a given right that's free. It's not, unfortunately.
All right. It's me again, John Butler from the Hamlet. On the water demand question,
John, closer to you
Oh,
for the people
sorry.
at home.
I can't get this up. Conspiracy, obviously. There we go. Perfect. Shall I sing? So, basic question. Today, Carmel Water District Number 2, Lake Glenida, is there sufficient water sources from the lake to accommodate what exists today usage-wise in CWD 2?
Yes, and the way the report estimated it, John, is also that it would probably go out to 2030 based on growth.
Growth is the next question. So the growth, I think I read here, is based upon projects, future projects that have already been approved. Is that correct?
It's partly in that, yes. It's also part of just the whole assessment that is done for a demand assessment. That's just industry standard type numbers. It's further detailed in the Hazen report, which I don't have at my fingertips right now.
This is just a question. Don't
Okay.
take anything else out of it. Is the distillery an approved project included in that assessment?
That's a loaded question only.
No,
I'll tell you
it's
why
a
it's loaded.
question.
I'll tell you why it's loaded. Yes, it is, but they're not using water because they're using wells. They've committed to using wells on the site, and they're going to be using wells
That's
for
great.
the distillation project, not for sanitary. So if, when you go there and you're going to use the facilities and wash your hands afterwards, that's our water, and that's going, that
That's
way.
great news. It wasn't a loaded question. It
No,
was a
I know,
real
but
question.
it's kind of a...
But you've
well,
answered it nicely, so we know that we don't really have to be concerned about water usage for the distilling process.
Correct.
Because they're going to wells.
Rich, that was a very recent development that they agreed to, is that correct?
No, that was always part of the planning board approval, and they've always said that they were going to search the wells, and the last I heard from Mike Cornazzo, who's been dealing with them on the building end, is that they are committed to the wells.
Right, that's, okay, because I remember just seeing that communication come through in recent days, I believe, from Mike.
Yeah, last week.
What's that?
Good point. That's good. That's a great point.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I am not the well driller.
That's a great point. Rich, that's a great question.
They're
the-
drilling wells on their property, and I don't know exactly where they are. They have not provided me any information on that.
No, but I mean, I guess geotechnically, where the well water, does that effectively being drawn from Lake Leonida?
I don't
Just
know.
through
I don't know that answer. I'm not a
groundwater sources?
geotechnical guy, and I can't answer that question. Can it? Maybe. It may not. I don't know that answer.
I'll tell you just what I know from my neighbor. My neighbor came to my house 3 weeks ago and said, "Hey, John, you have a problem with your well?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "Well, I haven't gotten water." So he called over someone. Now, this is within 100 yards of Lake Mahopac, 100 yards of Kirk Lake. His well is he told me it was measured at 320 foot deep, and it was dry.
Bummer.
So I don't think it was hooked up to the lake.
Lake, right.
I'm just really worried the new one's gonna be hooked up to the water I'm getting, and then he's gonna deplete my well. But again, I don't have any control over that, but I'm not sure exactly where it would come from, but very reasonable question. I'm worried about my water source getting tapped in by my
Hopefully they
neighbor
won't
redrilling.
open up a distillery next door. That will really
You know what, it
suck
would
for
have one of the nicest settings in the entire town, but I think there'd be a lot of upset people off of the lake.
So the next thing is, again, water usage, and I think it's more of a legal question. So let's just say, I think we're there, or at least by 2030. That's it, literally and figuratively, from a water perspective, we're tapped out. Lake Leonida cannot provide any additional water resources at that point. So are we obliged, meaning Carmel Water District Number 2, to seek other sources of water and pay for those other sources of water?
What did he say to your last question?
I don't know, I
What
forgot.
was it? Loaded question? Anybody who's a ratepayer in the district has the entitlement to use the utilities that are available. What's touched on here but not discussed in detail is there is an alternative source, and it's very close, and it's the West Branch. There's no getting around paying New York City Water Board entitlement rates and excess rates for that. So at the end of the day, if there's a circumstance where there's an approval, where a developer wants to connect and draw from the Carmel Water District's number 2 system, they're going to be able to do that. I think they'd be able to enforce their rights to do so. And there'd have to be an alternative source to provide the water. And if that means that the district would pay that, whatever the rates are in 2024, whenever you're contemplating, then the district would pay the rates for the usage, and that particular user is going to pay the rates. Now, the wild card in that situation is if the process that the town is undergoing, the district's undergoing now with the city of New York in an administrative proceeding and subsequent litigation regarding Lake Oneida changes that model at all, then perhaps only these future users would be subject to paying those rates. And that's a stickier question, John. I don't know how I can answer that now, but that's certainly something that could raise its head then. But first, the district's going to have to prevail against the city in that proceeding, which I think there's some reasonable likelihood that the model will change from what it is. But unless we're going to another non-city-controlled source, either wells, which seem unlikely, or Lake Mahopac, which seems unlikely as well. But
Really unlikely.
I've been wrong before. That can change.
We're fighting New York as best as we can
No, I get it.
in every way possible.
But you'll never win that in the West Branch. That's part of the Delaware, you're paying for it no matter what.
The bottom line point here, and not to pivot, but it's a big issue. It's a complex issue. It's an expensive issue, and it's an issue that really needs to be an integral part of the new comprehensive plan. Right on top of the list, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So, theoretically, if some people's recommendations have their way, we could be looking at 4- and 5-story multi-unit residential complexes in the district, and that takes water. So it's all big to the point. I just have 3 more very quick questions for Rich. Simple questions from a simple mind. Sorry. I'm just trying to get my brain around the estimated project schedules here, because I really don't understand your plus 7 months. And so what's our base date onto which these plus 7, plus 1, plus 9 month numbers are being applied?
So
In other words, what are the dates here?
whenever we sign the contract, we move forward from there. So the contracts haven't been signed, so right after they get signed, we'll move forward.
Are there contracts pending?
For the storage tank, yes.
Okay.
We're still reviewing the distribution system.
Okay,
So
so-
that hasn't been even brought to the board or approved or anything to that effect.
Hold up, one at a time, please. Again, simple brain. So the storage tank rehab contract is on the table.
It's been sent out to Weston and Sampson. I'm waiting to get that back. Once it gets back, I'll give it to the supervisor to sign.
Right.
Once the supervisor signs it, then we'll go and have a kickoff meeting, and then we'll be able to go plus or minus 7 months from that time frame to get that done. So we're talking 7 months from now, theoretically.
7 months from now gets us to what point?
Contract
What happens
plans and
in 7 months?
specifications. The completed contract plans and specifications to go out to bid.
Okay, then bid assistance is a month. I don't know what that means, but
That means we
okay.
put it out to bid. Once those plans and specs are there, we put it out to bid. We
Okay.
let it go out for a whole month.
Okay,
We put it on BidNet, or we put it whatever, we have contractors come back in, and then they will be able to build the system out.
in the so the contract, when's that coming back? From WNS?
I sent it out last Friday. They said they were going to be getting a copy back. I should get it tomorrow, the
Okay,
next day.
great.
Most likely, it won't get signed until after I get back from vacation, which is next week, so it won't happen until the week
Vacation,
of Thanksgiving.
unacceptable, sorry.
Sorry.
Just again, a technical question. Contract plans and specifications, that's after the contract is signed, that takes 7 months. Why does that take 7 months? Sorry, I'm not an engineer. That's a long time.
That's why it takes 7 months. You're
Why?
not an engineer. I mean.
Well, why can't we
it's-
say,
it's
we don't, 7
specifications-
months is unacceptable, we need it in 3?
Because it's not how there's just way too many variables. There's 9 different tanks that are being used here, designed.
Not the point. My point is,
Okay.
why can't you say to WNS that we have an emergency situation, which we do, okay? All the people wake up every morning and turn on the tap and get brown water. It's not something that we can just sit around thinking about. It's something that we live with every day. So, I've seen a lot of projects over the decades in various parts of the world where they've said, I don't know why it comes to mind, but after the Northridge earthquake in California, they rebuilt freeways in 2 months. And the reason they did that is there were incentives to do so, okay? Things can be done. They have to be told, get it done. And if it's unreasonable to get something done in 3 months versus 7, then build an incentive in. I'm willing to spend a little bit extra money to get this thing done, because just on the distribution tank, based on what you just said, we're talking for the tanks 1.5 years. Rich, you listen? Yeah. I just want to make sure I had your attention. So,
Your question. I had a question about whether.
Okay.
Permitting requirements for the jurisdictional agencies for the tank design, and that would be where the lag was. That's all I was asking.
no, I get it, but the point is, no matter what these things are, they're being run by human beings. Human beings can do things fast or normally slow. So this isn't the norm. This is something different. This is an emergency situation. Sick and tired of spending money on filters and everything else in my house. Everyone else is. But more important than that, it's 2019 in Carmel, New York. We shouldn't be turning on our water and having it come out brown. This is bizarre and ridiculous, okay? We have the resources and we got the money for the bonds, et cetera, to get this fixed. So my next question is, now we're talking, it sounds like a year and a half before the work on the tanks start. A year and a half. So my next question is, when does the work start on the distribution system? Start. Forget about engineering, design. When does the actual work start for the distribution lines?
Based on the schedules that were provided, 10 months from after the contract is signed.
When is the contract going to get signed?
Right after the RFPs are reviewed and I'm able to get something to the board to approve.
Rich,
So,
you're a good guy, and you do a great job.
thank you.
What's the date?
I don't have a date, John. If I had a date,
That's
I'd give you a date.
impossible. It's
I don't have a
impossible.
date.
It's impossible not to have an estimated date, start date, for the work, for the distribution system, so that we don't have dirty water anymore in our houses. It's impossible. It simply can't, that can't be the answer. We had our meeting in April, 7.5 months ago. Okay, there was another meeting a year before that. This is unacceptable. Something's got to be done. And again, I'm not criticizing you, and I'm putting the pressure on, but the fact of the matter is we can't sit around and say, oh, it's okay for us to have dirty water and our kids to be taking baths in rust for the next 3, 4, I don't know, 5 years. The question is, the worst answer is, I'm sorry, the worst answer to any of these questions is, I don't know. That's an impossible answer. I don't know is not the right answer. Given the amount of time that's already passed, that this has been an issue, quite frankly, going back to 2014. I don't know is unacceptable. So that's all I have to say. Where's the accountability? Someone, somehow, some system, something has to be held accountable here. And we can't go on this way. We just can't. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Is there
Rich,
anyone else?
quick question for you. Just looking at what you presented here on the project schedules between the tank and on the relining project as well. Is it safe to say that both should break ground within a year?
Yes.
Is it safe to say from that year of breaking ground, both should be completed a year from there? Just
Most
looking at your
likely-
schedule.
most
I'm
likely,
thinking, no
yes.
offense, but I know
The
when you say
tank- the
plus 1
tanks,
month, I
yes.
also
The
know review
distribution
means plus
system,
2
no.
months. So I'm thinking
The
worst
tanks,
case.
yes.
Yes, okay.
The distribution system, no.
So the distribution system, we're thinking then the construction,
That's going to be over at least over 2 construction periods. So if it doesn't, it'll be next year and the year after.
so
it'll
we're
be-
figuring probably at least 18 months on that. And here's
Right.
the problem, John, specific to you. Even getting the tanks done, until that is relined, you're still gonna have groundwater. And I'm sorry, but that is the reality from what we've seen on the last project.
With all due respect, technically, I could be wrong. I don't think the groundwater, quote unquote, is coming from the tanks. It's coming from the tuberculation and the distribution line.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely, and that's just it, is like, even when the tanks are repaired, and you're not gonna see that crystal clear water until the lines are repaired as well. Right.
That's the point.
Mhm.
And all
So
I'm
that-
asking-
unfortunately, that's probably 2.5 years out. I'm figuring on a timeline, we're looking 2.5 years.
Well, thank you. And 2.5 years has probably become 3 years to 4 years. And my simple point is, and it could be unreasonable as anything, is that.
John, can you come up to the?
When it comes to clean water, 2.5 years, in addition to what you've already gone through, it should be unacceptable.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is 2.5 years, 3 years to clean water in the town of Carmel today is completely unacceptable, and I cannot accept, myself personally, probably being unreasonable, but it is impossible to push that time frame way up, because I see 60-story buildings getting built in Manhattan in 18 months, okay? It just isn't, in my way of thinking, could be wrong, I don't think I'm wrong. From a technical point of view, this ain't complicated. This is cleaning out lines and rehabilitating storage tanks. We're not reinventing anything here. It's basic technology, and people have got to be incentivized and held accountable to get the work done. I mean, in my business, I'm sure everyone in this room, they've been in positions where they say, hey, we need this done in 2 weeks. Well, no, that takes 2 months. We need this done in 2 weeks, or you're fired, and we'll get someone who can do it. That's all.
Thanks, John. Jonathan, you finished? Okay. Is there any other members of the public that would like to come up and comment on this item? Come on up at this time.
Oh, seriously. Chandra Cosma, Kelly Ridge Road. Ms. Maxwell, it's been a long day. Just so I understand, on the total annual debt, sorry, I don't have my glasses, services, if I was to understand this right, from 2020 to 2021, right, there's going to be I guess, about $52 increase? Is that what that's showing me?
You're saying 2020 to 2021?
Correct.
Yes, 268 to 320?
Correct. And then
Yes,
from
that's an annual
2021
debt,
to
yeah.
2022 is about $84 increase, correct?
Correct. Mhm.
So this is
Yep.
showing me just it's not showing every year it's going to go up by $200 or $300. What we're saying is it's going to be
That's-
the incremental increase.
Exactly, that's what the
correct?
cost will be, correct. That's not the increase, that's just what the cost, the annual
Alright.
debt will be. Now,
Okay.
again, that's an assessed value of $407,000.
Great, thank you. Mr. Franceschetti, back in March or April, we talked about the tower on Everett Road, and I raised a question to see if there was a calculation to ensure that tower is actually high enough to give us the water pressure that we expect. I get down maybe on the bottom of Kelly Ridge, because you got a nice pitch, but, for like John, myself, and the guys on the upper end of Everett, I don't think that water tower is high enough. Has that been done?
I've asked that question no, it has not been. We'll have to get back to you on that.
All right, when can I expect that? Because I've waited, when is a reasonable time for that? A month, 2 months, 1 month?
I'll have it for you in the next couple of weeks.
All right, perfect, thank you. The fairways, right? That's, I think, what John may have been alluding to. I like keeping the area green, though. However, I assume that the construction or proposed construction for the new fairways, if that actually does go through and that happens, that is not currently in the numbers for the water consumption, correct?
Correct.
All right. And I don't know if I can ask this, but I will.
No,
Yep.
it's for the proposed cluster subdivision of
Correct.
96 homes. That is not included in our
Correct.
water. They have a water allocation, and they are using water right now, so they
Right, I
are
meant
in the
this-
district.
Yeah, well, it was the first part you were talking about. Got
Yeah,
it.
and that's Centennial you're talking about.
Centennial, yes.
Yeah, fairways and gateway are already included based on the water usage that was
Okay.
there. Right.
All right, perfect. The water bill, not sure if this is the right time, but I'm going to bring it up. The water bills don't seem right. I mean, personally, my water bill went up 3,000 gallons. No way that happened.
That's why Mary Ann can,
Yeah.
I know, the water bills went out approximately a couple weeks late this year, so the consumption, in the past, if you read your meter, you would send in your reading card in
Correct.
sometime in September.
Correct.
So, maybe September 1st, maybe September 30th.
It's not adding up.
The-
Sorry, we thought about that. There's
The
no
water
way, even
bills-
that extra month or so, there's
What's
no way
that?
I used 3,000 gallons more. No way.
Well,
So-
I mean, you can definitely give me a call tomorrow, and I can look at your account.
Okay.
But I know that the bills, we pulled the numbers from the Beacon software anywhere from October 22nd to October 30th.
What was the base for that number? Right, you had a starting point. Was it off the old meter itself? Or
Well, the
what?
old meters, whenever you got your old meter replaced.
Yep.
That, we took the reading from the old meter.
Right.
And, so that's on your water bill, that's the first line of your water bill.
So how can we ensure that wasn't fat-fingered or something? Because
I can pull it up on my computer. There's a-
the pic-
This is, I actually have a picture of
Fantastic,
it.
'cause
Yep.
I didn't.
Yep,
I
you
was
can stop by
kicking
my
myself.
office, I can show you a picture of your old meter.
Perfect.
So on the first line of your water bill would be your first, the old meter.
Right.
The second line would be the new meter, which, would be the consumption from, say, May 30th, if you had your meter changed out May 30th, through October 22nd or October 30th, whatever the date is that we ran the bills for that district. So obviously, it's District 2. That was one of the last districts that we did, so I would say it was probably through October 30th on the new meter.
Oh, yeah, I just know, that's perfect.
There's also, you can get your, we're going to roll this out, you can get your consumption, or you can actually see your.
Yeah, that was posted up on
Your-
a nice website.
Yep, it's on the
It's on the
website,
website.
yep. So you can see your consumption online.
Right, just-
Through ionwater.com, but
All right,
I
then,
can go over
perfect, then
that.
I'll be in touch with you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Did you always send your meter readings in with the card that the comptroller's office sent? Did you always fill that out and return it? with the
Yeah,
meter
we
readings?
did.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of
Did you-
people, a lot of folks didn't. and
Yeah,
they're
no, we
seeing
didn't
that
trust estimations.
discrepancy.
Yeah. Did you have a cubic foot meter in the past? Do you know?
Don't remember.
Okay. Oh, we can.
Yeah, but I'll be interested in seeing the picture.
Yeah, stop by.
All right, thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mary Ann, can you just go over for the residents, the website, and then we're going to be getting an app rolled out later, is that right?
What's that?
Did you say that there was an app that we
There
were
is
gonna
an
be getting?
app, yeah, it's called Ion Water.
You can download it from either Google or Apple.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the Apple Store, but you can actually go online. But I think Donna put the instructions on our website. So, you can look at it. You just need to put your account number in, which is your account number, right, I got mine too. Account number on your water bill and your zip code, and then you'd be able to set up your own account, and, with your email address and a password. And then it just brings your account up. It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty neat. You can see your daily consumption, your monthly consumption,
Great, thank you.
weekly, so.
This will also send out alerts if you have the app, if there's something completely out of the ordinary, is that right?
I
you were
think
telling us that
so,
back in the
yeah,
day.
I think it does give you the option to.
So if there's a detected leak
Yes, I
because
think,
there's some
if I
absurd
recall
amount-
correctly, there is a link on here that you can,
I
for
have-
notifications, right?
Yeah, I have the app.
Yep.
And you could
John
put
got
in
the
a-
app,
in-
yeah.
in a guideline that at certain hours of the day, how much gallons of water, or if there's say 1 gallon or half a gallon running continuously for 4 hours, 5 hours, you put that in, it'll send you an alarm. And then also, below, because at some point in time, a house should have no, at 2 o'clock in the morning, everyone's sleeping and no laundry or anything going on, there should be no water flow. So it's a pretty neat app, and the website also is pretty neat, and it's self-explanatory. And it'll actually send you a text on your consumption and stuff like that. It's by the hour, by the day, by the month. It's pretty impressive.
Nice.
Yeah, that is.
Just one final point, I forgot to mention it before. So you may or may not know, there's a Facebook page, CW2 Water District, et cetera. So a lot of folks suggesting, I think it's a great idea. We talked about it back in the April meeting, of the residents forming an ad hoc committee, just to monitor and exchange thoughts, ideas, and so on and so forth about the projects as we're going along. And the question that, it's not just from me, it's from others, is whether or not there would be a volunteer from the town board to sort of be the liaison, if you like, between the ad hoc committee, which again is a residents committee, and the town board. That's the question.
Well,
I think there's a
we
great
have
candidate
a
who's sitting right over here.
councilman-elect
I'm not even I'm just putting it out
from the
there.
Hamlet of Carmel.
I think, yes, if there is a committee put together similar to every other committee that we have, there should be a liaison. I think
Yeah.
a resident of the hamlet would be a spectacular.
Bob, your first assignment,
Liaison.
no, yes, yeah.
Job
And what we
opportunity, Bob.
usually do is we have two, just in case Bob can't make the meeting or whatever.
It's
One
fine.
of
So
us
we'll
will-
reach out.
Yes,
Again, it's not authorized by the town board, it's an ad hoc committee residence.
Right.
We'll reach out,
Yeah.
and that'll be fine.
Yep.
Unless you want to do it after January 1st,
You know, it's
on a
funny,
voluntary
I was already
basis.
approached by a local town organization that I was pretty critical of their finances, and they were like, you want to help with finances? So I'll see I'm happy to help any way I can. in our community.
That's a horrible joke.
My wife would think the same thing, yes.
Thanks, John. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak on this topic, Carmel Water District 2 matters? Come on up. If not, we're going to move on. Okay. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you, Carmel Water District 2 residents, for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Hope you learned a little bit more about what's going on, or maybe you're a little bit more confused than you were before you got here, but we'll try.
Yeah.
We'll do our best to keep you informed and let you know what's going on, okay? All right, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Good night. Thank you. Good night. Sorry I had to sit through that other stuff.
That's it?
Yeah.
We're not done yet.
No. Oh, no. Well, that part of it is. You going? All right. Good night. Good night. Just give me a couple minutes. Good night. Charlie, we're going to get to yours next, I think.
Let's go.
All right. Okay. All right. Hey, Rich and Peter, can you go out in the lobby and speak? All right.
Rich is next to me.
Oh, he is? All right, don't go out in the lobby. Sorry. All right, so number 2, Rich Franzetti, Town Engineer, consider request to authorize bond return, tax map number 75.16-18-8, Melchner, and it's for $20,000. Rich?
Bear with me, I just have to find that. What Peter and I were talking about was storage capacity on those tanks, so.
You want me to start it, Rich?
No, I got it. I apologize. You might have to. I'm not finding it on my list here. Hold on.
So, this is a request for a bond return for Melchner Charles, tax map 75-16-1-8, bond registered number 738. On October 30th, 2019, the planning board passed a motion recommending the bond return of $20,000 for the above captioned property. Attached is a fully executed bond application form and Town Engineer Rich Franzetti's memo dated October 2nd, 2019, and Director Code Enforcement Mike Carnaz's memo dated October 30th, 2019. The planning board approved and signed off on the bond return on 10/30 of 19, and Rich Franzetti signed off on the bond return as well on 10/29/19. So this is by the planning board and the town engineer and town codes enforcement officer agreed that the bond should be returned to the Melchner regarding the Melchner site plan on Bucks Hollow Road. This is at 177, I believe it is, Bucks Hollow Road. Am I wrong with that address, Charlie? 177, Bucks Hollow Road, that's right. All right, and I also had an opportunity to follow up on this as well. Guys, and I went back to both meetings and understood clearer what was being presented, and the planning board's position on this is that the vegetation that's there now is actually sufficient and it's large enough where planting trees would not increase the screening between the bike path and the racks for the storage boats. So the screening that's there now is much larger and much taller than you'd get if you planted trees there. So it doesn't make sense at this point to go ahead and do that. The planning board agreed with that, with the applicant, and our consultancy engineer and Mike Carnaz agreed as well. And I'm in agreement with that also. So I would recommend that the bond be returned regarding the Melchner application for 177 Bucks Hollow Road. Any further comment or questions on this one?
Nope.
You in agreement? Mike, you good? Okay. All right. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Yeah, it's, we're going to have a resolution then. There'll be a resolution next Wednesday authorizing the bond return. All right. You have any questions or comments? No, we're good? Okay. All right, thanks. Thanks, Charlie. Charlie, you gonna stick around? I'm gonna stick around. You are? All right, you gonna stay with Dad? Okay. All right, so next, all right. Next item on the agenda is Rich Franzetti, PE Town Engineer. Consider request to accept proposal for generator maintenance services, town-owned generators. Do you have this one, Rich?
I do. Sorry about not having the last one.
All right, no problem.
Proposals were solicited from 10 contractors for the reference maintenance contract, RFP 2019-13. The complete list was provided to the board. The proposal identified that the contract would be effective for 3 years from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022, with unilateral options on the part of the town to extend to 1 additional year periods. 7 proposals were received. The results are provided in the attachment, in the memo. FM Generator came out at $99,450 for the 5-year term. MacPro came out at $106,250 for 5 years, and Gentech came out at $108,550 for the 5 years. I'm not going to go with the last 3, or 4, I'm sorry. The lowest proposer is FM Generator at $19,890 a year for a total of 5 years, $99,450. The second lowest proposer is MacPro at $21,250 a year with the total of over 5 years of $106,250. The 2 proposers were separated by $1,360 per year. While FM Generator, located in Canton, Massachusetts, proposed a lower price, MacPro, located in Carmel, over the past 4 years has performed numerous projects for the town, including multiple genset overhauls and repairs. In addition, MacPro is located across the street from Carmel Sewer District 2, the wastewater treatment plant, which is proximate to the area that has the greatest density of our 41 genset units. The department has been very satisfied with the responsiveness and professionalism and work of MacPro. Based on our evaluation and the relative cost of the proposed scope of work, we recommend that the contract be awarded to MacPro as the most responsive proposer to the town's needs for this project. There are sufficient funds in this budget for this work.
Agreed.
Okay,
That's
any
it.
questions, comments, concerns on this item for the engineer? MacPro does an excellent job. They're
Yeah,
located
they're
in the
they're
hamlet
right
of
there,
Carmel.
too. It's a no-brainer.
Right.
So Greg, we're totally fine, this is a professional service?
In terms of selecting the proposing entity that's not necessarily the lowest, yes, you can
Okay.
consider other factors and award it to somebody who's not necessarily the lowest priced proposer.
Okay, thank you.
For the lowest price?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so marginal as far as the difference goes on the annual. I just want to make sure that GML, we're good.
No.
It's nice to have 2 local guys.
Okay, next item, number 4, consider request to accept proposal for asset management inventory and study of town water and sewer districts.
So pursuant to to a resolution granted by the board, we circulated a RFP for asset management for Carmel Sewer Districts 1, Extension 3, 1, 2, 3, and 8, and Carmel Water Districts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14. We sent it to 15 consulting firms on July 8th. Formal RFPs were received by the engineering department on August 9th. 5 firms, Arcadis, B&L, Hazen and Sawyer, Woodard and Curran, and WSP submitted proposals. The engineering department evaluated the submittals in accordance with criteria identified in the RFP, and there's provided evaluation sheets. Arcadis was a total of $165,900 with a ranking of 87.83. Woodard and Curran came in the next lowest at $194,859 at 85. WSP was then the third at $209,458.66 with a ranking of 74.9. We've advised the Controller's Office that this expenditure and per the attached budget transfers are needed. However, there are sufficient funds in the budget for the work described. Based on our evaluation and the relative cost of the proposed scope of work, we recommend that the contract be awarded to Arcadis of New York as the most responsive firm to the town's needs for this project. Just so the board is aware, that total price is divvied up over the various water districts and sewer districts that were there. There is a backup to it. I didn't provide that in the memo because it would have got too busy within the memo, but it is provided as part of the backup.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you, Rich. Any questions, comments on this one?
Yeah, I just have one. Rich, the references provided, none of them provided references, or you don't provide references for this type of?
Oh,
Or am I reading it wrong?
No, they did provide references. I just don't score it because they all provided references, and I did call the references, and they're all there. So they're all going to get 5s because every reference I called said they're the greatest thing since toast. So I don't
Oh, so
include
you
that in there.
just-
Everyone would have been, add 5 to everyone's score, and then it's
Oh,
the same.
okay.
So,
All right,
so it's there, they
Understood.
provided it, and if you get
Okay.
really a bad reference, then maybe you give them a 4 versus a 5, but typically it's,
okay. Got it.
Any further questions for the engineer?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I just wanted to point out that this is not included in the 2020 budget, but if you look at the spreadsheet that I provided to Rich, we'll have to make these budget adjustments before we adopt the budget next week. Okay, so what Donna and I did is we met and we looked through each of the water districts and sewer districts that are involved with this project, and we either took money from, other lines or the fund balance in those districts. So that will have to be adopted. These changes to the 2020 budget will have to be included as adjustments from preliminary to adopted when we adopt the budget next week.
What's that?
Okay.
Is that going to change the tax levy at all?
No,
No?
it will not change the tax levy. We looked at some of, like I said, most of it's coming from the repair reserve fund within each
Okay.
water or sewer district. And you can see, I think Rich included this as backup. It's part of your backup, these changes to
Yep.
the various water and sewer districts. We're creating a special line that says asset management special expense so that we can monitor the cost of this project. And then we're basically reducing the budgets and other lines, to increase the lines in those.
All right, Mary Ann, can you, obviously not now, but over the next few days, can you just, especially on the larger ones that the district's expense line is going to be decreased, can you just let me know or let the town board know how much is going to be left in their reserve line after you take out those larger amounts?
Yeah, you'll see that in the adopted budget, which I can,
No, I know, but I wanted it before I voted on it
Oh,
next
sure,
week.
okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I can get that to you tomorrow, but you'll see that,
Okay.
and yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
it's really just those 1, 2, 3. There's 3 that are a little higher.
Which ones, the sewer, like sewer 2? You're talking about like 14,000, taking 14,000 from the repair
Yeah, 14,000,
reserve?
20,000, and 14,000.
Okay,
Those 3, just those 3.
Those actually are the ones that have plenty of money.
They
I'm
do.
more worried about, like, they say Water 5, which, which is a small district. So I'm more worried about the smaller
The
districts.
smaller best districts.
Which
that
are,
don't-
I'd say Water 5 and Water 6 are going to be the tightest, that we're going to
Okay.
have to keep an eye out. Sewer 2 has plenty of money in their reserve, and Water 2 has plenty of money in their reserve. So I'm not, even though it's 14,000 and 20,000, those are, I will definitely get you what you're looking for, but I'm more, and you'll see
Yeah.
when I send it to you.
Yes.
Actually, I have it highlighted because I think I sent it to Donna to take a look at. So I think I can get that to you.
Okay, perfect.
Just
Thank
so you
you.
can see. But in order to fund this project, this is what we need to do,
Right.
before we
Yep.
adopt it.
So you'll make those changes?
Yeah.
Before we adopt the budget?
Yeah, well, this will be included with the,
Okay,
budget amendments for next week,
okay.
so,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
All right, Rich, number 5, consider request to accept proposal for videotaping of various town board meetings.
So proposals were solicited to perform recording of various meetings at Town Hall. Recordings identified in the proposal include Town Board Planning, Zoning, Environmental Conservation Board meetings. Of course, a copy of the proposed scope of work was attached to your memo. The proposal identified that the contract would be effective for 3 years, starting January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022, with unilateral options on the part of the Town of Carmel to extend the term for 2 additional 1-year periods. Proposals were solicited from vendors for the reference contract. The complete list is attached in your backup and included 7 direct mail solicitations. 1 proposal was received from Alaska Productions, $20,500 for 2020, 2021, $21,000 for 2022 and 2023 at the Town of Carmel's option, and $21,500 for 2024. Previous pricing for this work ranged from $18,250 in 2016 to $16,250 in 2019. Alaska Production has performed this work for the past 4 years to the satisfaction of the department. Based on the Town of Carmel's prior experience with Alaska, we recommend the work be awarded to Alaska at the prices bid and identify. There are sufficient funds in the budget for this work.
Rich, were there other vendors that put in for this?
There were not. We only had 1 put in for it.
Oh, that's why I can't find it. Okay,
We sent it out to 7.
okay,
so
no, that's fine.
Direct mail, so.
Perfect.
Okay, any questions, comments regarding this item? If not, we'll move on. Okay, next, Rich, go to the next one. Consider request to authorize payment for repair services, Carmel Water District Number 2, also the dry hydrant, Baldwin Place Road.
So this memorandum is presented to the board to request payment of the attached repair invoices. They are over the Town of Carmel's procurement policy threshold. The following provides a brief summary. Carmel Water District 2 repaired a valve at 67 Everett Road on September 25, 2019. Infomark, the operators of Water 2, notified the engineering department of a non-functioning valve at the end of Everett Road. An invoice for an amount of $7,175.84 for Cook Excavating to install the new valve is provided. Mahopac Falls Fire Department relocate dry hydrant on Baldwin Place Road. The dry hydrant at the intersection of Baldwin Place Road and Route 6N has been struck by snowplows on numerous occasions. The engineering department, along with the Mahopac Falls Volunteer Fire Department, determined that relocating this hydrant approximately 20 feet further south on Baldwin Place Road, proximate to a telephone pole, and around 2 feet further off the road should stop the dry hydrant from being struck. On October 11th and 14th, 2019, Cook Excavating performed the service. There's an invoice in the amount of $8,974 for Cook to repair and relocate this hydrant. There are sufficient funds in the budget for the work as described.
Okay, definitely justified moving that hydrant, that dry hydrant.
It's been
It's
hit
been
about
hit multiple
3 or 4
times.
times that I've been here.
Yeah, and every time it's hit, it's $5,000 or $6,000 to repair it. So moving it back from where its current location was to where the new location is definitely going to prevent that in the future. So that's being proactive, and it had to get done, so.
It's also out of service after it gets hit, so there's also the
Correct,
time that there
yeah.
is no service there.
Yeah, good point, Rich. Thank you. Okay, any other questions, comments on item number 6, the dry hydrant replacement and services to Carmel Water 2? Okay, next, thank you, Rich. Mary Ann is here for 7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, and 9. 7, consider budget revision September to October 2019. Mary Ann?
Okay, number 1 in the general fund, we're providing $5,000 for search area settlement expense. Number 2 in the general fund, we're providing for police overtime expense from revenue received from officers out on 207C. Number 3 in the general fund, we're providing for reimbursement to the county from New York State aid received for lake patrol costs from 2018. We received approximately $18,000 last year in revenue, and we have to reimburse the county 50% of that, so that's the $9,006. Number 4, we're transferring $10,900 for payment of school taxes on recently purchased land in downtown Mahopac. Number 5, we're transferring for costs related to the demolition of the buildings down in downtown Mahopac, $20,700. In the general debt fund, we're providing for a band payment of $390,000 in the general fund, general debt fund. In the highway debt fund, we're providing for principal and interest payments on bands outstanding. In Carmel Water District Number 2, we're providing for bands, payments of bands of $200,000. In number 9, we're transferring to the debt fund to pay down $750,000 on the water meter project. So what I did with all of the operating funds is I looked at the operating funds of the water districts, and because we have a ban outstanding of over $3 million, I looked at the funds to see what we could pay down in each fund to reduce the cost of obligated debt in the future. So that's basically number 9 and number 10. First, we had to transfer it from the operating fund into the debt fund, and then we had to pay down the debt in the debt fund. Number 11, we're providing for ban interest payments on premiums we received from the financial institution when we closed on the ban. And on page 3, In the drainage capital project, we're transferring for project overtime expense of $5,000. In the airport park capital project, we're transferring for capital project expense of $15,539. And then the highway machinery capital project, we're transferring project overtime expense also of $5,000.
That's it for this one?
That's it.
Any questions, comments for agenda item number 7?
Thank you.
Okay, next, agenda item number 8, consider request to adopt and amend revised user fee schedule for 2020.
These are the proposed changes that I received from the department heads. The only changes I received, the only requested changes I received was from the town clerk's office and the recreation department. In the town clerk's office, Ann Spofford requested that the marriage license for active duty members of U.S. Armed Forces be waived. She also requested the peddling license, 3 months to be removed. I guess she doesn't use that anymore. The code book was $300,000. She requested that to go up to $598,000. And other pamphlets and specifications in the town code she's asking to remove. On page 3, in the recreation department, Jim Gilchrist requested the user fees for the playground camp to go up from $465 to $500 for the playground camp, early bird registration playground camp from $415 to $450, primary camp from $515 to $550, and early bird registration for primary camp $465 to $500. Primary camp extended day, he requested $195 to $200. RTE responding to emergencies, $225. I'm not sure why it says $225. Looks like that didn't change. Oh, he's just requesting that the non-resident go to $260. So the regular resident fees will remain at $225, but non-resident will be $260. Special tenants, tennis, aerobics, and other lessons, he's saying to remove that. Lake access card, that is a new charge. I think that's a new item. And then he's also asking to add the family beach day pass at $20. So those are the only requests I received from the department heads.
I don't know why she's removing them. No, I don't know. No. Mary Ann, the lake access card, in 2019, it was 50, and proposed for 2020 is 50. So there's no change, or is that new?
I think it was just called something different. I think that's just a title change, but I'll check with Jim on that.
So is
I
that
believe
for-
it
is
was
that-
just, I think it's just a title change, lake access card.
Okay,
The second line, family beach day pass, is a new line. So
Okay.
I think the lake access card,
is that for a resident or non-resident, the $50?
it says residents only.
All right, so the residents, is that for one day pass, or is that for the summer, the $50? Can't be for one day. It's got to be for the season.
I would,
All right,
don't know.
I'll ask Jimmy tomorrow.
I don't know. I
I'll give him a
mean, you know,
It's got to be, huh?
I would say,
Yeah, it's got to be for the season. Yeah, I'll check with.
I would think
But
so.
it should specify in here, though, right?
I'll ask him and I can.
Want to ask him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And then I can forward that to the board.
All right.
And Mary Ann, the ones on the first page under the town code that are highlighted yellow, is there a reason why she's removing them? Do they just not use them anymore?
Again, I just got an email from her just to remove them. I don't know. I can check with Ann.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't mind.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, any further questions on the user fee schedule for 2020? No? Okay. All right, next. 9, consider request to accept renewal agreement for LoSAP, Length of Service Award Program, services for Carmel Fire Protection Districts 1 and 2. Mary Ann?
Penflex is the company that we've used to administer the LoSAP program for Fire Protection Districts 1 and 2. The cost to administer the program for Fire District Number 1 is $6,600. That is not changing from the prior year, 2018. And the cost for Fire District Number 2 is $7,200, also the same as 2018. So both of those changes are not, both of those costs are not increasing. So requesting the board to consider the renewal of that contract
Okay.
with Penflex.
Yep. This is something we do annually? Okay. All right, any questions for Mary Ann on agenda item number 9? No? Thanks, Mary Ann. Okay, next up is, are you up next, Chief, or am I up? I am, I'm up, okay. So, Mike Simone, our highway superintendent, is not available tonight, and he asked me to cover his agenda items. So, agenda item number 10 is the highway superintendent is requesting to consider a request to authorize purchase of a 2018 Dodge Durango Citadel 4x4. So he's asking authorization to purchase, it's a brand-new 2018, something similar to what we did with one of the Chargers, right, Mike, from Robert Greene? I think that was the 2016. So this is a 2018, but it's brand new. It was on the lot, it's available right away. Here's what happened. Mike Carnaz's current 2006 Ford Explorer, the motor went on it, the engine went on it while he was driving it, doing inspections the other day. So that car is shot. He's no longer been able to use that car. We're not going to put any more money into it because it's got 140,000 miles. Doesn't pay to put an engine in that car. So Mike Carnazza needs a car. So here's what Mike and I are proposing to do, Mike Simone and I. So Mike is looking to purchase a new 2018 Dodge Durango for himself. And they did the research, and Robert Greene Truck Division has that car, and the price of it is $40,731.44 for a Dodge Durango. He's got pictures of it here that he included in your backup. And what I'm asking is that Mike Carnazza be given Mike Simone's current 2015 Ford Explorer. So Mike has a Ford Explorer that's in really good shape. It's clean, the mileage is reasonable. I think it's got 70 or 80,000 miles on it, but it runs well. And it's a good car for Mike Carnazza because it's all-wheel drive, and Mike is called out in the middle of the night to snowstorms and other events where they need him at a scene for his services. So he needs a decent car. So what I'd like to do is, and when Mike Simone proposed this to me, I thought it was a good idea, so I checked with Mary Ann. Mike is asking for the town building department, to allocate $10,000 towards Mike Simone's current 2015 Ford Explorer, which I believe is worth every penny of that. That's the blue book. Oh, no, it's actually a decent car, and it's worth more than that. So Mike is looking for help purchasing his new 2018 Dodge Durango. So I'd like to allocate $10,000 from the equipment reserve line, Mary Ann. Is that where you have it? So I checked with Mary Ann. That's where the funds would come from. So it would be actually transferred to the highway department budget? You do a budget transfer? Okay. So I think it's a good deal. If we had to go out and purchase Mike Carnazza a new car, I actually looked into that. It was in the $28,000 range, Chief? Was that what it was for a Jeep? A Jeep, whatever it was. It was a smaller Jeep. It wasn't a Grand Cherokee.
Little Cherokee.
It was a little Cherokee, yeah. And that was $28,000. So by us purchasing, it sounds crazy, but it's done a lot. There's money transferred from department to department to make these purchases. So, and it's in the budget. Mary Ann has a reserve line for this. So I think it works out well for us, for Mike Carnazza, he's going to be getting a decent car, and for Mike Simone, who's going to be getting a newer car, for him to get around during snowstorms. And so he's the one who suggested the Dodge Durango, and they found one. It's an older one, but it's $40,000. A new Durango is probably in the $52,000, $53,000, $54,000 range. He was getting a new 2018 car for $40,000. Did I sell you guys on it?
This one, the backup shows a sticker of over 54. You're looking at a savings of 25% on a
25%.
brand-new vehicle, so I'm sold on it.
Yeah. Susie, you go with it?
Yeah, I'm good.
John? Mike? Okay. All right. So we're going to move. Greg, did you get all that? Okay. 25% savings. Yep. Well, you're doing the resolutions.
I did it. It's
All
done.
right.
I hear everything.
Okay. All right.
We're meeting on Tuesday next.
Took a little longer than I wanted to spend on that one, but, all right, so 11, Mike Simone, Highway Superintendent, consider request to award bids for the purchase of miscellaneous highway supplies. We do this every year with the Highway Superintendent. This is for wash sand, winter mix, waste wood processing, guide rail, timber, Corton, galvanized rail. So he's recommending that the following bids be awarded as follows: Red Wing Properties for the sand, Package Pavement for the winter mix, Chemung Supply for the guide rail, Waste Wood Processing Mulch Inc., I think he's used them before as well. So this is something that we do every year at this time of year for the winter supplies, winter materials. Any questions, comments on this particular item? Nope. Okay. All right, next up, Chief Kazari. Number 12, consider request to authorize purchase for police uniforms. Chief,
Thank you.
you don't want your sergeant to join you over there? He's good.
Yeah.
Since he did all the work.
Since he did all the work, he should be presenting.
So we're requesting that the board would waive the procurement policy as far as the uniforms go. Looking at the the vendors that answered our bid previously, since they all had poor performance issues, and we are more than satisfied with our current rescue stuff, we are asking that we could waive the procurement policy again. In looking at the last 4 years, we have not come close to $20,000, which is the benchmark for requiring the bid by the state. So it is just the town's procurement policy that needs to be waived, if it would be your wish.
Yeah, I'm
Greg,
fine with it.
Is
Yeah.
that okay?
Chief
Greg?
is correct, that it doesn't meet the general municipal law threshold. So you don't have to bid it. What happened was, I think he had an issue with his current vendor maybe a couple months ago. And we did an analysis, or his department did an analysis of that number. So you would ordinarily just get separate proposals, but you are entitled to waive your own procurement policy, and I've already actually drafted the resolution with the recitation as to the reasons why.
Okay.
So you can consider it then, and if it passes, then it passes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Got it, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, 13, consider request to authorize renewal agreement with Mahopac Laundroland and dry cleaners for the cleaning of police uniforms.
Yeah, so we're more than satisfied with the laundry aid in the middle of town that we're using, Mahopac Laundromat and dry cleaning. They would continue at the same price, $2.95. And if it would please the board, we're just going to continue with them.
Great.
And that's January through December, right, Chief?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, any further questions for the chief?
No.
No?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Good night, chief. Good night, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Okay, next, 14, consider request to waive 30-day notice of the alcohol beverage control application for on-premise liquor license for Rick's Seafood and Gourmet Specialties, Inc., 545 Route 6, Mahopac, New York. Greg and I went over this application the other day, and the applicant has submitted the application correctly, and they have filled in all the necessary, they answered all the necessary questions on the application for the board to consider for a 30-day notice. This is it's Rick's Seafood. You all know where that is, right?
So no more bringing in your own wine, huh?
No. Live music, local acoustic, no outdoor area, and it's, yeah, This is in accordance with the other applications, that 30-day waivers that you've considered. And this
They're
is-
changing their license, okay? There's actually an existing wine license there, but they're doing it on premises wine and liquor, and it's considered a new application as opposed to renewal, so your right to object or be heard within 30 days triggers, and typically you waive those pro forma, so you would do that there, I would think.
Okay, good. Any questions, comments about the 30-day waiver? No. For the application? No? Okay, there are none. So that completes the agenda items for this evening's Town Board voting meeting and work session. Is there any members of the public that would like to come up now and speak on the work session agenda items that we just covered? Come on up at this time, if there are any. No. All right, there being none, I'm going to open up the floor to new business. This is the open forum portion of the meeting, where you can come up and comment to the town board with regards to any town-related matters.
Thank you.
Charlie, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Charlie Melchner. My family and I own a couple of different pieces of property in the town of Carmel. Thank you for working so hard, and I feel bad you have difficult disagreements because you're all local folks, and it's very difficult what you all do, and I appreciate it because the outcome generally benefits us all. So thank you for putting your heart and soul in this. How's our park doing? It seems like nothing is going on. Is that a plan? And if it is a plan, that's good. And then, do we have an end date in place? Do we have any diagrams put forward? What's going to be happening there? What it's going to look like? And is my beloved Mahopac Carmel Chamber of Commerce being brought into the loop with all of this?
They are. Charlie, there's a meeting scheduled, there's a special meeting.
December 5th?
December 5th, where we're going to discuss all of that. So the engineering department has been charged with creating the scope for that project, and what they need input from the recreation department, from the chamber, from other community residents and business owners, along with the town board. They need feedback from everyone. So I called for a special informational meeting on December 5th. It's going to be held right here, and it's going to be televised. So if folks aren't able to make it, they're going to be able to watch it and to hear what's going on. But we need as much feedback as we can from the community to help us develop that plan.
So at our December 5th meeting, prior to that meeting, will information be able to be disseminated to the people that want to come so we can be having intelligent questions when we get there?
Well, it's open. The original sketch of the park has been out there. It's really a matter of fine tuning it. I mean, you're still connecting the two parks with a bridge. You're building a bathroom, you're building a boardwalk, and you're building a very important public parking area. So it's just a matter of any amenities or something that somebody wants to bring to the table that we're not aware of, and it's strictly so everybody in this town can comment on what they want to see there. This is their opportunity to comment.
Okay, so I have a vested interest, and it's my son Bert does that event every year, the Ty Campbell Foundation, and he really ties up the town with that, and thank goodness for our police department. They're so gracious in helping us out there. I would like to see that as a focal point for events like that to be held, to develop some kind of start and finish area, a staging area, and something where we could work through that. With physical fitness being such a major part of our community now, I would love to see some kind of physical fitness course put in through that whole project there. There's just so many things that can be done.
That's the reason for December 5th.
Okay, so we will all, those of us that are able to come to the meeting, will have this information in front of us, hopefully a couple of days before, that we could comment on it intelligently before we get there. Or is this going to be, are you planning many meetings prior to coming up with the final plan?
The Recreation Department has been working on this the first Thursday of every month for many, many months. Well, since we purchased it. I don't know, do we have the plan on the website where they can look? You know, like the plan that you have, like the outline of it? Because that's really what you need. You need like the plan of it, because really that's all we have other than the Recreation Department's recommendations for what they would like to see there.
And
Is
the
it
parking study
Franzetti and the
to
And the
substantiate
parking
the amount of
study.
spaces needed.
Right.
Excuse me, John, I didn't hear you.
So we've had this parking study for a while. That was kind of the premise to start the whole thing, where there were a few different places compared. Analysis was done on the downtown area using some information that was provided by our town assessor, and they came up with what a recommended amount of spaces would be needed to be utilized. That's got to change because we talked about the Route 6N side, getting rid of those diagonal parking and changing that to sidewalk cafes. So all this is just nothing more than conceptual. And that's what this meeting's really about, is to start refining what these conceptual ideas are and get it. So if you wanted to look online, I think we probably have a draft of the plan. I know we definitely have a copy of the parking study, which
parking
has
study.
a draft, not of both parks together, but of the parcels that have been purchased in the past 18 months for the town.
So our town engineer and our Parks and Recreation Department are heading it up together, the overall base plan they're going to be putting forward?
And we have a professional firm that we'll be
Well,
hiring.
there's going to be a firm, so the engineering department needs to develop the scope of the project. So he's here now. He needs feedback with respect to that scope. And that will eventually go out for an RFP for architectural design and engineering firms we're going to go out to bid for a consulting firm for engineers
design.
and architects to help us design the project.
Design the park.
It's actually, it's a big, the project has to be done correctly, Charlie. We're investing a lot of money in it, and we want to make sure that it's done correctly. Environmental issues, that parking lot, the bank parking lots, that's going to need some work to bring that up to grade. So we need to know what materials we're going to use to make, so it drains correctly. Now it doesn't drain. Does that channel need to be dredged out, because that's choked right now? It's actually choking the two sites, because there's so much silt and sediment in it. We want to talk about vegetation that we're going to be installing in there. So there's a lot that goes into this, but we want to make sure that whatever we do, it's done correctly. And that's why we need the feedback from the public. We want to make sure that they weigh in on it.
So thank you for saying all those things, because I certainly would have at some point thought of some of them, but not all of them. So please, if you could get that out to the community in one of our local newspapers, if you're coming to this meeting, these are some of the things you need to be addressing as an input, all right, so that we can be somewhat more enlightened when we come to this meeting, because as a number of you have said, it's going to be the focal point for our town. It's just amazing how beautiful it looks when you drive through downtown.
And
Charlie,
it's
I love-
wonderful, like the volunteers have been there already, Mr. Borelli, with Councilman Borelli and his crews and everybody. They've done a fantastic job. I mean, it's already looks 1,000 times nicer, so kudos and thank you to them as well.
Yeah, Charlie, just ideas like what you brought up with physical fitness. I mean, I think it was 2 years ago, New York State rated Putnam County the most physically fit county in the state.
They haven't looked at me then.
Yeah, they definitely need to go around door to door. But even if you take a look at like our Veterans Park over on Gypsy Trail Road, you have great passive activity. I know every time I go there with the family, it's probably the one time a year I get a workout because it's a spectacular area. It does promote physical fitness. While it might be underutilized, maybe right there at downtown, it's going to be the spot. I love the idea. I know Councilman Borelli talked about a splash pad. We've talked about having ice rinks that could come out there. We've talked about lawn art. We've talked about just open area for passive activities. So there's a lot of discussion, and I think the feedback is going to be paramount. I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of residents to be heard, but we definitely have to get the word out there, multiple avenues. Facebook page, Parks and Rec page, Twitter feed, schools hopefully could put some stuff out there. We could put other things out through different means, but we definitely have to broadcast it out to everybody so everyone could be heard. But it's going to be an ongoing process for sure.
I would suggest a number of these meetings then to put into place, which I'm sure you're going to do anyway. Thank you very much.
All right,
Have a
Charlie,
wonderful
thank
evening.
you.
Drive
Have a good
carefully
night.
going
Yeah.
home.
Thanks, Charlie. You do the same.
Thank you.
Good night. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? You're...
Good evening. My name's Carl Eberly from Kennicott Hill Road, and I just want to ask for a stop sign to be placed. I don't know how we start putting stop signs in, but on Kennicott Hill Road, there's this new development going in, this Random Ridge. And right now, there's probably 8, 10 houses in there, and I don't know how many more are going to be put in. But currently, it comes out onto Kennicott Hill Road, right across the street from Minerva. So it's now a four-way intersection that we have there, and there's no stop sign coming out of that random ridge. Now, it might be a private road, I don't know from that developer, but when the site plan was done, they should have realized, geez, we're going to directly come out at a 90-degree angle. And I've gone past there a few times already where people coming out of Random Ridge just pull straight out onto Kennicott Hill Road without slowing down, without stopping. So, I mean, I would just like to see a stop sign put in there. So, thank you.
It's probably in the subdivision map, but the fact that it's only a third built out or a quarter built out, they didn't put it up yet, which.
Well, can somebody ask them to put it up because, you know, with the cars coming out now, you know.
Well, there's
How-
going to
how
be
long-
a stop sign. I mean, you got 30-some-odd houses coming out of there. But I'm saying, check with Rich tomorrow, if the site plan calls for one, and just tell the developer, put it up now. But I'm quite sure doing that in my youth, that there's going to be a stop sign there. It's just, they're waiting till they put the top course on and dedicate and put the signs up. But they shouldn't be waiting because there's activity.
Well, I'll follow up on it tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'll check with the site map, the subdivision map, to see if they calls for one. If not, there should be one.
Thank you
Yep,
very much.
you got it, okay.
You
Have a good night.
About a quarter of the house was built. They're tiny.
Oh, okay, yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah, so just real quickly, I just wanted the last minute, this Saturday, we'll be having the Veterans Thanksgiving Day dinner, and it'll be at Putnam Golf Club. We have two seatings, one's at 11:30 and one is at 2 o'clock. If you are a veteran, it is free of charge. You can bring a veteran and a guest. Just contact me via email or cell phone, and I'll put you down for the reservation.
This guy's getting very lucky.
That's it.
Okay. All right,
Oh, yeah. Fine.
okay. So, everybody's aware that Town Justice Joe Spofford was elected to the county court position. So with that, his position as the Carmel Town Justice will have to be filled, appointed by the town board will be appointing a judge to fill that vacancy created by Joe Spofford. Now, we haven't received a letter of resignation yet from Judge Joe Spofford, so he's still currently the Town of Carmel Justice. But we're trying to get out ahead of this and put out a public notice that the Town of Carmel is requesting letters of interest and resumes from attorneys who reside in the Town of Carmel and are interested in serving as the Town Justice. The seat will be vacated by our newly elected Putnam County Court Judge Joe Spofford, an election for a full 4-year term, so whoever the town board appoints to Judge Spofford's current town justice seat will have to run next November for a full 4-year term. So all letters and resumes must be submitted to the town supervisor's office no later than Monday, November 25th, 2019. And that's, you can address it to Supervisor Ken Schmidt, Carmel Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, or you can email it to Ann Pescarella at amp2@ci.carmel.ny.us. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other announcements?
Toys for Tots boxes are out. Just got the flyer from Mahopac Central School District. The entire school is supporting us again, as most schools do. Check your local papers, check your local fire departments. Each one does a candy cane run. Thank you as always for all your support. And again, any organizations that need donations for anyone that may be less fortunate this holiday season, please reach out directly to anyone at the Toys for Tots organization. Reach out to me through my office, and we'll do everything that we can to make sure that every kid experiences a good holiday this year. Thank you again to the community for all that you guys do. I won't be here next week. I'm going to be out of town traveling.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan. All right, so our next meeting is next Wednesday, November 20th. It's where we will be adopting the budget for 2020. So we don't have executive session. We're going to close the meeting right from here. I need a motion to close.
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman McDonough. Second. Second by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll see you next Wednesday, November 20th.